Hi guys, this is Mrs. Gassler. We're going to talk in this video about atomic notation. That's different ways that you can write out the element, the particular element and isotope that you're talking about when you're talking about atoms. So I'm going to give these some random names here. This first one I'm going to call shorthand notation. Shorthand notation includes a letter. I'm going to write the format over here and then I'll show you some examples. So the format is going to look like this. It's going to have a letter or letters, and then it will have two numbers, a high number and a low number. This high number represents the mass number and the low number is the atomic number. Now sometimes the atomic number is optional because you can just look that up in the periodic table from the symbol that you would write down. But sometimes, especially later on in chemistry class, you kind of really need that atomic number to be able to work with. So the letter I just said was the element symbol. And so let's look at some examples of what this one looks like. So let's say that we have uranium, 238 and 92. So the 238 tells us the mass number. There's 238 things in the in the nucleus, and there's 92 protons, so you can figure out how many electrons there are, not electrons, how many neutrons there are. We could also write helium. Helium has an atomic number of 2, and let's say it has a mass number of 4. Gold is atomic number 79, and maybe we're looking at the particular isotope 197. Maybe we want to look at a different isotope of gold, so we look at 196. So we can tell which isotope that we're looking at. Now sometimes another way that we could write this down where we're just writing down what it is, I call this name notation because it includes the name. Okay, especially when you're writing out the words or in sentences when you're talking about a particular isotope that you have, you would see it this way. And so the format that you would see is the element name. I write that like it's one word, dash, and a number, and the number is always the mass number. Biggest mistake people make with this one is thinking that number is the atomic number, and it's not. So I'm going to use the same ones from up here as my examples down here. So that U stands for uranium, so that would be uranium 238. The one next to it, helium with the 4 on it, this would be helium 4. Now we can tell these two isotopes of gold from each other by writing this down, gold 197 and gold 196. That's the name of that particular isotope, so that's why I called it name notation. Okay, so the last notation, which I'm going to call the I'm too lazy to write the name notation. And you'll see why here in a second. So this is what this one looks like. This one is sort of a combination of these two. Instead of the element name, we write the symbol and the number. So this here is the symbol for the element, and that there is the mass number. So it looks just like this one, but instead of the whole name, we're going to just write out the letter. So that would be U238. This would be helium 4. This would be gold, which is AU197, and gold AU196. So, whoops, I forgot to label that. These are our examples here. So when you look at those, they're pretty much the same. We're just writing the letter out. So these are the 3 different ways you might see some isotopes telling you what atom you're dealing with. And all of them are going to give you enough information to get everything else you could possibly need to know. You need to know something about how many neutrons there are. And the mass number is the only number that includes neutrons. You need to know how many protons there are. From that you can get electrons and whatnot. So you have to have those 2 numbers. Okay, you have to know what it is and how many neutrons there are in order to be able to figure everything else out. So these are the different ways you might be able to read it, or you might be able to see it. In your homework, you probably have to fill out a chart where you might have to write these down. So thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions.